If you've been watching my channel for a while, or you're a friend of mine, you probably know that I'm quite a big fan of the survival horror genre, because I usually never shut the fuck up about certain games in that genre, especially the ones that have absolutely no remorse for the player.
Nom 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 nom.
I adore the feeling of helplessness these games create. You feel so vulnerable and in danger all the time. It always feels like the odds are stacked against you, which makes overcoming the horrors that much more satisfying. When it comes to horror in games though, the best type for me is psychological horror games. You know, the ones where you have no idea what the fuck is going on?
What the fuck?
The Evil Within is a game that comes to mind when I think of a survival horror game with psychological horror elements like that. Which is probably why it might just be my favorite survival horror game. Which is an insanely unpopular opinion, I know. I should have spoken about Silent Hill instead. Thing is, I haven't actually played a single Silent Hill game. I've been playing a survival horror game recently which ticks all the psychological horror boxes for me. And I have no clue what's going on in it 3/4 of the time. And I'd like to shine a light on that game. A golden light to be specific.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Golden Light is a little indie game that's currently in early access on Steam. It's being developed by some fella called Mr. Pink who clearly has something up with him because this game could have only been thought of by an insane person. And I absolutely love it for that. I just want to say, even though I'm making a video on it, I would be lying if I said I knew what was going on in this game. Which is a good thing because that means there won't be any spoilers. The game begins with you on a field with your girlfriend/wife who is named She. From what I can gather, you're having a lovely little picnic or some shit, and since there's nothing else to really do, you explore a bit. And you find this nice little rose. You pick it up and take it back to She, and on the way back, a giant fucking meat hand grabs her and pulls her into the fleshy underworld. Do I understand what's going on? No. Do I follow after and plunge into the fleshy gaping arsehole that's before me? I mean, why wouldn't I? Falling down this hole takes you into the main area that you have to traverse in the game, which is named The Gut. Which is very appropriately named because the developer clearly had a weird obsession with meat whilst making this game. The shit is literally everywhere, which quite frankly terrifies me because I have emetophobia. I don't know if I said that right. And I can imagine you could get really bad food poisoning if you ate all this undercooked meat. That was a really shit joke. Why did I make this joke? Why did I write this in the script? The Gut contains many floors that you need to get through, and each floor is randomly generated. The objective for each floor is to acquire a certain amount of keys to open up a fleshy elevator so you can traverse to the next floor of the Gut. Unfortunately, it's not easy. On each floor, there are many horrors that just want to murder you, and honestly, these fuckers are absolutely terrifying. So, in each level, there are a bunch of objects just scattered around everywhere. It makes you feel like you're exploring Chris Chan's house.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess.
But these enemies disguise themselves as these objects, and sometimes you can notice these objects slowly drifting towards you in the corner of your eye. And when they get close, BAM! Like, what the fuck are these things? They're horrifying fleshy monstrosities. Some of them don't disguise themselves and they just make a beeline straight for you, like this fucking hovering blade that scared the shit out of me whilst I was reading this note. If you've ever played Prey or Prop Hunt, the paranoia you'll feel whilst playing this will feel very familiar. Unlike in those games though, you can actually sometimes hear the monsters breathing if you're nearby. So you can actually tell when one of those twats are lurking ready to pounce. Although sometimes to fuck with you, there are these odd ambient sounds that play in the Gut which are genuinely unnerving. You can't tell if it was something Mr. Pink added in just to fuck with you, or it's actually something that's out to get you.
It's like gold dust. You see me coming through your speakers.
Sadly, don't think that you have the upper hand just because you can hear these monsters, because they can hear you too. If you run, jump, or use your weapon, this text appears at the top of your screen. And, yeah, you might as well start running because they aren't going to give up scouting the area until they find you. To make things even more unnerving, almost all these enemies have really disturbing, fucked up designs, and honestly, they all freak me out so much. Except for Mr. Legs and the Cringe. They're cuties. You can't even trust the doors in the game. They can be enemies too. Appropriately named doors Doors? I don't know how to pronounce that. Luckily, you can fight back in this game. There are many different weapons you can arm yourself with to take on these abominations. The weapons you can acquire range from your bog standard melee weapon, like a knife or an axe, to a manhole cover. I mean, it's surprisingly effective, to be honest. Like, this thing hits hard. Oh, and of course, there are ranged weapons too. But you gotta remember, this is Golden Light we're talking about, and this game is not normal. All of these weapons have extremely weird names, and I don't know if these are just placeholder names because the game is still in early access or they're deliberate, but they sound like the names of characters in a Kojima game like Death Stranding. My personal favorite name is Horny Grunt Dead. This isn't the only weird thing about them though, no, it gets weirder. There is a dedicated button to hurt yourself with the weapon, and you're able to eat any weapon you're holding, and this can heal you? Ah yes, because scranning a sharp object is clearly not going to cause any long-term health issues. You thought I was going to do it, didn't you, you fucking... Enough about the weapons though. You'll be happy to know you aren't alone in the gut. Well, maybe unhappy, I don't know. But there are some friendly faces lurking around. Well, I mean, I don't know if you can consider them friendly looking. These fellas come in all shapes and sizes, and they usually have a request for you. They either want some gold, which you can collect around the gut, or a specific item. Completing these tasks rewards you with either a weapon or some ammo for a gun you don't even have. Are you fucking kidding me? My favorite character is Glutton. He's a grotesque meaty vending machine, and aw, he's just so hideous. I just want to hit him in the face. You know, I should probably talk about these weird ass items that these fellas ask for sometimes. So you can find these items around the gut, and they can range from something like a bat head to... What the fuck is that? You can either eat these items or throw them at enemies to cause status effects, which are randomized each time you re-enter the gut. It isn't always a gamble though. There are notes scattered around which give you hints about what status effects some of these items can cause. These notes can actually be genuinely useful or just... Yeah, cheers Mr. Pink. Since this game is a roguelike, which I haven't mentioned, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, you're probably going to die a lot. Death isn't a bad thing though, because dying sends you back to a hub area where you're introduced to the greatest character in the game, Snout the Bike. He's always there for you after a rough time in the gut, and you can slap on some tunes and ride him around.
People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted person who loved me till the end. People, let me tell you about...
What the fuck is that? I'm gonna end off this video by saying this game is confusing, horrifying, and I genuinely don't understand it. Yet, I absolutely love what I've played so far. I really hope this video has made some of you at least somewhat interested in the game. You gotta remember though, this game is still in early access. It's not done. Saying that though, I cannot wait to see what nightmares are still yet to be unfolded from the deranged mind of Mr. Pink.